Hi, it's Walter Burns from Keller Williams City Life Realty and livingonthehudson.com. Just want to give an overview of the Hoboken Waterfront condominium options. For people who may or may not be aware, Hoboken has several options where you could purchase on the waterfront. I'll go through those with you here shortly and give you a little overview of the Hoboken area. So Hoboken here sits on the Hudson River waterfront across from New York City. We basically have the Lincoln Tunnel on the north side and the Holland Tunnel here on the south side. It's around a mile square. The PATH station is on the south side, which takes people over to New York, as well as the ferry terminal, which goes to Lower Manhattan. On the north side, you have another ferry terminal on 14th Street up here that goes over to New York City as well. So you have ferry on the north side, you have a ferry on the south side, and you also have the bus that runs down Washington Street frequently that goes into New York, and that takes you through the Lincoln Tunnel over to New York City. So Hoboken is pretty accessible to New York. From a waterfront condominium perspective, there's about 6 or 7 options that are available in Hoboken to purchase. There are exclusive rental buildings in the waterfront, as well as Stevens Institute of Technology, which takes up a good amount of real estate here on the waterfront. So you can't buy there. You can only enjoy these views here at Stevens if you are a student. Basically, I'm going to spin this around, so we'll start here on the south side, closest to the PATH station. If we're moving north, you have a bunch of commercial buildings here on the waterfront, which are office space. The first building that's a condo is the W Hotel here, which is a condo hotel. It's mixed use, so you have the condominium residents, which are basically the top third of the building, and then the lower 2/3 are the hotel. There's 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3 bedroom layouts on the condominium side in this building. It was built around 2006. And it basically is a partnership with the Port Authority. The Port Authority owns the land that the building sits on. So there's a land lease associated with the building. So the residents do not pay taxes. They pay, it's a pilot program. They pay a payment in lieu of tax to the city of Hoboken, which is basically for city services. So their taxes overall, or what they pay, is lower than what some other options are in Hoboken, but the prices are higher. 1 bedrooms start around 900 to $1 million, 2 bedrooms around 2.5 to high 2s, and then 3 bedrooms would be over 3 million in the current market. So you have the W Hotel here, and the owners here get the hotel services as well. It's not a condo hotel in the sense that you buy a unit and you can rent out your apartment like a hotel room. You can rent your units out there, but it would have to be for a minimum of 1 year. The units they're not hotel rooms. They are actual condominium residences in this building. So the W Hotel, which is really the first condominium building if we're moving from south to north along the waterfront. Then as we move north, we have an exclusive rental building here called 333 River Street. You can only rent in this complex. And then Stevens Institute of Technology takes up a large chunk of the waterfront. So they basically start here around 4th Street and they go all the way up to around 10th Street. So they occupy all of this property here along the waterfront. So there are no buildings. They actually just built these 2 student housing towers, which have very nice views of New York. But the only way you can live there is if you go to the school. So as we move further north here on the waterfront, you have this piece of property along the river, which is the Union Dry Dock Landing. It's an old dry dock where they fix ships. The city is going to be developing this into a park. And that news came down a couple of years ago that they're going to be acquiring this piece of property. As we move further north from here, you enter into the next major condominium complex, which is Maxwell Place. It's 4 buildings. This is the site of the former Maxwell Coffee Factory, which was knocked down, and starting around 2004, this building was built, which is phase 1, 1025 Maxwell. And then you had 1125 Maxwell, which was built second around 2008, 2009. 1100 Maxwell Lane, which is just behind 1125. This is built around 2012. And then you have 1000 Maxwell, which is phase 4, which was built in 2000 and what are we in 2020, 2021, and it just finished in that phase. So basically, right now you have four buildings that are completed. The project is completed. Everything here is a resale at this point, so you can purchase there, but there's nothing from a new construction perspective. And there's layouts from studios to 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, many different layouts, hundreds of different layouts in this complex. And of course, if you're on the east side here, you have spectacular views. Pricing is going to really vary depending on where you are in the complex or in the building, but generally speaking, you're probably looking at studios starting in the sixes, 1 bedrooms in the 700-800 plus range, 2 bedrooms over $1 million, $1.2 million and up, and then 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms probably be over 1.6, 1.7, up to over 2.5, 3 million easily if you're in the front of the building. So you have your Maxwell Place in the Hudson. Then as we move further north from there, you enter into the Shipyard Complex. So the Shipyard, this is a former shipyard back in the day where they repaired ships and built them. It was purchased by a developer in Hoboken who turned it into apartments in the 90s and 2000s. In this complex, which basically runs here from 12th Street up to just past 14th Street, because this is part of it as well, they're all rentals. You can only rent here, with the exception of one building, which is 2 Constitution Court, which is South Constitution, right here. This is really the first waterfront condominium building that was built in 2000. 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom layouts in the building. Again, it's built around 22 years ago. It's a concierge full service building. 1 bedrooms are probably in like the 6 to 7 range. 2 bedrooms will be in the high 9s to over $1 million, depending on where the view is. And then 3 bedrooms would be like 1.6, 1.7, and 1.7 million and up. Again, depending on the view, depending on the condition, the renovations. This building is entering a phase now where people are trying to do a lot of major renovations to them, completely renovating units. As we move further north here, again, rental building. This is all part of the Shipyard. The next building along the waterfront that was really built, and it was the last building to be built, is 1425 Hudson Street. It was built by Toll Brothers in just around 2019, 2020. They are finished selling there. Everything there moving forward is a resale. There's a little over 100 units in the building. And studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedrooms. Again, similar pricing to what we've been talking about before. Some of them, because it is newer, you're probably going to be on the higher end of, 800, 900 for a 1 bedroom, 1.3, 1.4 and up for a 2 bedroom. There's a few layouts in here which would be over $3 million. They're pretty big with large terraces. So again, it also depends on the view, where it is in the building. Something on the west side is going to trade for less than something here on the east side. Moving further north, you have the Hudson Tea Building, which this was the former Lipton Tea Factory. It's 2 separate buildings, 1500 Hudson Street and 1500 Washington Street. So 1500 Hudson is the L-shaped building, and then 1500 Washington is the long building here on the north side. All one condominium association. They are a loft-style building, units with high ceilings. It was a factory at one point, and it was converted to residential rentals in the late 90s, and in the mid-2000s, it was converted into condominiums. So you have studio, 1 bedroom, and 2 bedroom layouts here. The east-facing building, 1500 Hudson, 1500 Hudson, has the most direct views of New York. As I pull out, you'll see it's right across from the river. 1500 Washington, you also have views here on the north side of the city. But again, depending on where you are in the building, you can have views south into Hoboken, west. So there's many different layouts. There's over 500 units in the complex. And it's when people ask me for lofts, it's one of the most popular loft buildings in the area, along with the one that's just west of it, which here, this is Harborside Lofts. Harborside Lofts was built around 2008, 2007 by Toll Brothers. Again, Toll Brothers developed most of this property here on the north side. Again, it's a loft building. It was a factory that was also converted into condominiums. Units or studios to over 3 bedrooms. Only about 115 units or so in the building. The major difference between Harborside and the Tea Building is the Tea Building was originally a residential rental building where you can only rent. Then it converted into condo. And when it converted into condo, there were options to do upgrades, to buy your unit as is. So you have units that are in various conditions in this building. When this building was developed, it was built as condos from the get-go. So they put a lot of high quality upgrades and renovations into the units, kitchens. So from a price per square foot basis, generally speaking, Harborside sells for more than the Tea Building. And it has a lot to do with the size of the units and the quality of the overall units in the building. This building has a common roof deck as well as private roof decks. The Tea Building currently does not. They do not have any roof decks on their building, so that's something that's added. All of these buildings here along the 14th, 15th Street area, there's one major parking deck where you could park, which is right here on 15th between Bloomfield and Garden. And this is kind of the dedicated garage for the Harborside, the Tea, as well as these buildings, which are not on the waterfront, but they are 1450 Washington, 1400 Hudson Street, and this is 1425 Hudson. These were all developed by Toll Brothers, and there's all the parking is here. If you're going to rent a spot or if you own a spot, it's going to be in this building. So that is basically the tour of the Hoboken waterfront options. If you wanted to see what the availability is in either of these complexes, you could check out my website, livingonthehudson.com. I'll put the links below, and you could see the various buildings here, like the W Hotel, and what's available for sale, or if you want to be notified of something coming up on the market. Maxwell Place here, currently what's available. To Constitution Court, you can look at the galleries of the layouts and what's in the neighborhood, how accessible it is, what's nearby. So I have all that listed here on livingonthehudson.com, which I'll link below. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me anytime at 347-448-3766 or at walter@livingonthehudson.com. Have a great day.